Hello everybody, it's Ross and I'm excited about life. Even with a long list of problems like everybody else, life is good and it's great because I know my eternal destiny. If I got run over and killed in an accident on the way home, I know where I would spend eternity. I hope that's the case for you. And I wanted to share an exciting story about the other day. I had to get my emissions sticker like everybody else at your birthday, running out of time. My emissions repair bills were extremely high, but the check light engine kept coming on. I spent enough for the minimum for the Georgia state to be satisfied, over $840. I spent a lot more than that. But then I have to go get a waiver. It's called a waiver. So you can get a waiver and they can give you a checklist, you pass it, and then you can get your tag for your license plate. Got it. But I had to go file it in person because time was running out. My birthday, 2 days away, and I didn't have any time. But I had to go way over on the other side of town on a Friday. You know, inconvenient evangelism. Remember I talked about it on my other Facebook post. But it was a powerful time. I was thinking in my mind, the traffic was terrible. The lights, I caught every red light. It took forever to get through. I was going like, this is not where I want to be. This is way out of my league, way out of my zip code. It's gonna take forever. No telling when I get there how many people are gonna be doing the same thing. Well, September 29th, it may not be the most popular birthday date in history, but when I walked in there, guess what? Nobody, I mean 0 people waiting in line. The lady at the desk, she said, "May I help you?" Ow. Those are, "May I help you?" 4 words you want to hear very quickly in any of that environment. And I said, "Yes, ma'am. I've filled out all my paperwork. I've gone online, I've printed them out, I've filled them out. Hopefully you got everything you need." She said, "Most people don't. Let's see what you got." So she looked through them, and as she was looking through them, we started talking about spiritual matters. I told her what I did. I was a teacher at First Baptist Church. She told me about her background of being married to a Muslim and how difficult some of the challenges of that were. I started talking to her about spiritual matters. And she said, "Wow, you make that plain." And she said, "Yeah, I've never heard it like that before." And I was just telling her it's not about religion. It's not about keeping rules. In fact, nobody can keep the rules that God has put forth because they're perfect. He is perfect and requires perfection. She said, "That's interesting. I've been around a lot of different religions in my life. My past husband was a Muslim. He was so strict, etc., etc." And I said, "Wait a minute, you need to start with your own soul. What do you believe and why do you believe it?" And there's good news on the other side of the conversation. She was just engrossed in the conversation. I was being friendly. I was in a lot better mood than I was when I first came in there, seeing there was nobody there. And I knew that God was up to something really, really good. I talked to her a little bit about where I go to church, how she can get plugged in. I gave her a couple of websites to go to with any questions. She said, "Thank you for making it so plain to us," or to her, that it just makes sense. That salvation is by grace through faith alone, in Christ alone. That Christ was made to be sin for us, and he knew no sin. That God's commandments are perfect and holy, and no one can keep the commandments for salvation. In fact, the Pharisees, I talked about the Pharisees adding on all their man-made traditions on top of the 10 commandments, the ones that they could keep and feel really good about themselves. You know those people? And so she was just enlightened. And I said, "But you have to be born again." She said, "Oh, I've heard that term before. What does it exactly mean?" And then all of a sudden her supervisor came. She had to go back to the work in my file. I went outside, and before I left, I went back inside. She said, "You have passed the test." She checked everything off so I could go right down to my tag place down in Fulton County and get my tag. Oh, I thought it was just gonna be the opposite of what happened there. And I was so grateful to God that He had changed my attitude, changed my heart about being inconvenienced on that side of town, and given me that spiritual conversation with someone that was not argumentative, that was seeking God. She said she'd been starting to read the Bible on herself. That's a good indicator that God is working in her life, that she's reading the Bible for herself. It's like the Ethiopian eunuch. When the evangelist Philip came along, he was reading the Bible. He just needed someone to tell him what it really meant. And before I left, I gave her one of my CDs. I had one in my car. You Must Be Born Again. If you want a copy, reach out to me. I'll get as many copies as you need in your hands. She said, wow, this is you? And I said, yeah, I preached it a long time ago, but you have to be born again. Tells you why. So if you need a copy of You Must Be Born Again, let me know, reach out to me. I'll get a copy in your hands so you can hand them to your unsaved friends as gospel tracts. So God bless you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for letting me share. Until next time, always remember, do what you can, where you can, when you can, the very best you can. God will never, ever let you down. Until next time, hope to see you down the road.